Big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. This new year, get clean, quality, pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list, including Ritual's best-selling Essential Prenatal Multivitamin, designed with 12 traceable key ingredients to support a healthy pregnancy. With big changes coming up, take the small steps now and start today with 30% off a 3-month supply at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Shaun and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Hack News. Hack News.
Radio.
Hack News. Hack News.
Radio.
Sack.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
Into the silo.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider ever.
Wow. Hello, hot mic. Oh, there it is. We may have to swap the cord out. Welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show, where we discover very early on that a cord isn't working the way it should. We'll make some adjustments. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? You know, it wouldn't be a Sackhead show if there wasn't some sort of technical issue. I'm just saying. Welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show for the 5th of October, 2016. Appreciate you all being here. The Bloviating Zeppelin joins me this evening. Clint may make an appearance, you know, if he can pull himself away from more pressing issues. I don't know. Who knows what the hell he's doing. You know, I'm getting tired of this, BZ. I'm starting to get the feeling that, you know, I'm starting to feel like there's somebody else in his life. And I don't know if I like it. It's one of those weird things where I really feel, you know, second fiddle. And I'm a little bit of a prima donna. I'm the first one to admit it when it comes to this stuff. And he should at least, you know, say he loves me occasionally. And he doesn't. And, you know, that hurts.
How about this?
That's much better. It's amazing how that happens.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have microphone.
We do have microphones. Good evening, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. It is myself and Shaun.
Yeah?
Clint is away, perhaps with BW.
I
Unknown.
didn't think about the box wine portion of this.
Well, you were just saying that you thought that perhaps he was,
there was somebody else
distracted in some fashion.
Uh-huh.
I guess that could be the first possibility.
Oh, and you know how I know he's listening? And I know he's listening.
Are you sure?
Oh, yeah,
really?
no, I'm sure
You think
because
so?
I'm already getting messages. This is how I know.
Okay. Okay, you're getting
So it's even worse because now he's scolding me and he's not even here.
so you're getting a massage from the Swedish Prime Minister then, right?
And here I was just figuring he was throwing rocks at hookers again. Oh, man, such a ton to talk about this week. Gosh.
Where do you start? That was, ladies and gentlemen, you can't see the terrible whiteboard right now, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a minimum of 6 topics up there that somehow we're going to have to try to cram into 2 hours of buttery goodness. So grab your sodas, grab your adult beverages, grab, in fact, your buttery goodness, your popcorn, your peanuts, your Cracker Jack. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the best in late-night radio with Sackhead Shaun is, in fact, here, present and accounted for.
Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate such a fine introduction. We will get down the list. I do have a couple of stories that I want to get to that are not important per se. Mamba, Big Mouth Patriot, everyone's starting to fill into the chat room. It's very, very
Mama's
nice.
here!
First of all, When was the last time you saw somebody on legitimate roller skates? Legitimate roller skates. Not roller blades. On the street, roller skates.
Not rollerblades, actually.
Roller
skates. Not in a rink.
Yes.
Not
on the
in a-
street.
I don't know. Since 1923.
As I'm driving here this evening, I have two good stories while I'm driving here this evening. One of which involves Jersey Joe, which I can't wait to tell that story. But as I'm driving here this evening, I'm at a red light, and I look at the school parking lot off to my right, and there's a guy on roller skates dancing. I don't see headphones. I don't see anything. But he's dancing to his own tune.
Dancing to the music in his mind.
And he was amazing. Like, that was the best part. Like, he was really good. It wasn't like he was just like a screwball falling over. Like, this guy, he put some skill into put some work into his skill here. So not only that, but he's wearing a vertical red and white striped shirt.
Okay.
That's very, very loose and baggy, a la like 1980s physical Olivia Newton-John video workout style shirt.
Are you saying like parachute pants from the 80s?
Well, on his pants. So that's this big loose shirt that he's wearing, right? Red and white horizontal stripes. On his pants, he is wearing ultra tight spandex long pants.
Ooh, spandex.
That are covered in blue, that are blue with white stripes. With white stars, excuse me. So he's literally dressed like the American flag, dancing on his roller skates all by himself in a parking lot. And I was the only person, I think, that witnessed it. And I thought to myself, it's funny how you have these little moments in time where you see something, and I don't know if it actually helped restore faith into my body a little bit, or if it made me question the sanity of this country a little bit more. But it was a magical moment that I was glad to be a part of. And then, as if it wasn't getting any better, I'm driving here today, and I get a text message from Jersey Joe, who's been back killing it this week. I know people are going to ask for a pic. It was getting dark. First of all, it's getting dark early now.
Yeah, I love it.
Second of all, I try not to use my phone when I'm driving. And even though I was at a red light, I was still driving, and I try not to be that guy. It's like something I've been really working on the last couple months, because you see so many horrific accidents with people using the phone. But I do get a text message. I use my voice to text in the phone so I can listen to and respond.
Good man.
And it's from my good friend Jersey Joe, who's been killing it.
Hey there. Ritual here to give a big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. The magic of those family moments, that was you. And now there's new milestones to prep for in 2025. This new year, check clean, quality, pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list with Ritual. We've done the research to create science-backed pregnancy support like our prenatal multivitamin, natal choline, and fertility support, all designed to be taken alongside each other. But don't just take our word for it. They're also third-party tested for microbes and heavy metals and Clean Label Project certified. So whether you're trying, thinking about trying, or already there, we don't have to tell you that prioritizing yourself can be the hardest part. That's why we're helping you get started today with 30% off a 3-month supply for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
This week on Revert Common Sense. But he says to me, and I will quote, and his wife, who is a little spitfire, and she makes me laugh, and she's just a funny gal. I don't know how she tolerates Joe, but she's got a sense of humor. And I quote, "Thought you would find this funny. So my neck was bothering me today, and I asked her to put some BioFreeze on my neck. It's,
I know exactly what BioFreeze is.
Yeah, it's great.
Yep.
It's really good stuff. Helps with muscles and all that other stuff. We have a roll that's in a bottle, and I take off my shirt, and she puts it on my neck. As I turn around and thank her, she then puts BioFreeze on my nipple. Oh! Holy shit, does that burn?
You know,
I had to pull over. I was laughing so hard.
I could see that. I could see that. Luckily, you weren't. Were you drinking anything? I hope you weren't drinking anything.
I was not drinking anything.
Excellent.
But and I've seen Joe enough that I just had the image in my head of him cackling almost like a little girl. Because if you've ever used BioFreeze, and it's like Bengay and the other ones, it starts off cool.
Yeah. And then
the burn comes.
It flips.
It burns fast. And if it's on your muscle, soft tissue, it's great. On, call it more sensitive areas, I cannot imagine how much that stings. And I laughed all the way through the coffee line at that. So I appreciate Jersey Joe sharing an intimate moment at home with us, and then for me to blast it out to all the listeners on the show.
Very nice.
And to his beautiful wife, dear, you have my salute. That was well played.
That was an excellent bit of strategy there. I can't see the yelling, but I can picture it in my brainulus, so that works for me.
And,
I'm still back at the guy with the roller skates.
Okay.
There were two words that I could think of that when you first said that, and the first two words were self-entertaining. Because if you can't entertain yourself, who can you entertain?
He was magical. It was like watching
perhaps in more ways than one.
He could have been, right? It was like watching like a butterfly. Have you ever just watched the beauty of a butterfly as it flaps its wings? And it was like that.
Okay, we can get all mushy and serious for a second if you really want to.
No, wait, I'm not done.
Oh, okay, all right. Because I was going to.
And I was definitely caught in that moment where I was blown away, and then I thought to myself, this guy's in a parking lot by himself after dark, dancing, dressed like that. What is going on in his cranium at that exact moment? And I think self-entertainment was a good way to start. But I don't know if you or I are qualified to make an official determination on what may have been coursing through his brain.
Well, here's the interesting thing. I wouldn't mind going in just to peek if you could be guaranteed of giving me a passport out when I wanted to leave. But on a serious note, just for a very few minutes, there are occasionally some things in life that you witness for a few fleeting moments that upon reflection really are just a slice of beauty, and you're the only one that ever sees it. You're the only one that will ever appreciate it, and It's just a bit of a slice in time that you'll come to remember every now and then, and you'll remember it in a nice, positive way. And it's something like that okay, all right, I'm stopping. Enough of the mush. But anyway, I can understand where you could see that.
No, you know what? I do agree that every once in a while
you are affirmed about life.
Yes. And it's, I don't know if that was one of those moments per se, but on some level it definitely was.
Yeah, it's like somebody came in and went, bing, okay, there's a little visual audio gift. Cherish it and remember it when you want to. Pull it out of the brain library.
Oh, man. And then so all that's going on, and now I want to talk. So I had those magical moments, and now I want to talk about my douchebag of the day. Sitting in a parking lot, I had to run in and get coffee before I came here because it's been a long week. Because I'm painting a brand new house, and a million other things on top of it all.
Yes.
So I'm waiting for a guy to pull out of a spot. There's no other parking spots at the coffee shop. As I'm waiting, I'm on the right side, lane next to me to my left, and then the parking row. Guy's backing out, and there's two spots. There's like the pygmy spot that I don't know why they painted as a spot, but even a motorcycle won't fit in. You know what I mean? And then there's a full-size spot. Well, I drive a full-size pickup. I drive a pretty big truck. So I'm sitting there, I'm waiting, my blinker's on. This guy's backing out of the only full-size spot. And as I'm about to pull in, this a-hole in a kraut car, as you like to call it, BMW though, comes from front of me and just cuts me off and pulls into the spot. Now I'm running late for the show. I need coffee. I'm trying to kind of get ideas of what we're going to talk about. Needless to say, the caveman DNA started to go up a little bit. Right?
I can see it.
So I rolled down the window, and I was about to say something, and I said, I get a show. I get a show to go to. If I get into it with this a-hole, who knows how long I'm going to be tied up, right? So I had the next best idea because his little girlfriend got out on the passenger side, and I said, brainstorm. So I took up the pygmy spot with my full-size truck. My wheels may or may not have been on the curb next to it. And I was probably about a half an inch from his door. And I climbed out through the window and then got in line behind him to get coffee.
You climbed out through the driver's?
My passenger side window.
The passenger window.
Because there was a tree there. I couldn't open my door all the way.
Holy crap.
So then...
You're a better man than I with regard to that. Oh, my Lord.
So I stand in line behind him. Fortunately, the gal at the coffee shop knows me. I'm there a couple times a week, knows what I drink, and saw me and literally said out loud, she calls me Boston. Hey, Boston, I'm getting it ready for you right now. Thanks. I'm behind this couple.
Very nice.
Yeah, oh, it's very nice to have friends. So this couple is, I think yuppie would be a compliment. Douchey is he strikes you as the guy who has like the fake tan, like something out of Jersey Shore. He had like the 3-popped collar type look going, and she was just, I don't want to say bimbo because it's an insult to bimbos, but you could just tell, like, just listening to her talk, that she wasn't interested in him and his mental ability and or his aspirations and dreams. And I could be judging off a 30-second interaction and conversation that Bubbles had with Dipshit. So,
Hey there. Ritual here to give a big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. The magic of those family moments, that was you. And now there's new milestones to prep for in 2025. This new year, check clean, quality, pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list with Ritual. We've done the research to create science-backed pregnancy support like our prenatal multivitamin, natal choline, and fertility support, all designed to be taken alongside each other. But don't just take our word for it. They're also third-party tested for microbes and heavy metals and Clean Label Project certified. So whether you're trying, thinking about trying, or already there, we don't have to tell you that prioritizing yourself can be the hardest part. That's why we're helping you get started today with 30% off a 3-month supply for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
To put it kindly.
So our orders come up at the same time. And I walk in front of them out back to the truck, and I can hear them walking behind me, and I can hear her yakking, yak, 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 and him go, whatever. And I literally get in front of both cars, and I could see them starting to look like, hey, where did my car go? Because at that angle, he couldn't see it. And I literally just opened my arm and said, oh, no, after you folks. And he looked at me.
Very nice.
And he was like, I wonder whose truck that is. And I said, oh, that's mine. And he looked at me. I said, I had to park there after you cut me off because you were too important to let somebody who was waiting wait for their parking spot. And you could tell he had that whole moment. And I'm sure he could tell by my tone that I wasn't about to have it. He was having that moment of, do I nut up in front of my girlfriend?
Do I not? Yes,
or
right,
do
exactly.
I not?
That one.
Now, as we've all talked about in the show, and anyone who's seen pictures, I'm not a tall man, but I'm not a small man either.
No, you're not.
And anyone who's ever heard me slightly agitated knows that I get a tone in my voice. And I had that tone. And he literally turned around and said, I am really sorry. And I said,
all right, this is me slack-jawed right now.
Uh-huh. But, well, I don't think he had a choice. Because I think if he went the other route and tried to MF me, he would have had a really bad day. Because I wouldn't have hit him. I literally would have just looked at his girlfriend and said, if you could multiply 100 by 100 in your head right now and give me an answer, I'll give you the keys to the truck. And just watch her head explode. And then he would have to clean that up. So oh, man. It just brought me to, like, why are people a-holes? Why? That's the common courtesy that I think we lack in this country. That we, more and more as time goes on.
That's worth, just that topic by itself is worth a week of shows.
Yes, I agree. You know, it's something that as this election cycle goes, and you really, especially with social media and people who are social media tough guys, And you just see the douchebaggery come out, especially on the left. The rights, we have ours, and I'm not saying that we don't and that we're perfect, but the left really loves to be douchebags and just inhumane and nasty and mean and downright, what's the word I'm looking for? Caustic.
Yeah, caustic. I don't know. Maybe back to douchebag.
But it was one of those things that I really thought about the last couple minutes as we were driving here, and I was just like, what is wrong with this country? Like, it's little things like that I never do to other people. You try to treat people courteously. You try to be polite. You don't have to like somebody, but that doesn't mean you have to dump all over them or be so friggin' self-absorbed that you cut a parking spot off. Now, it's me. I'm fairly able-bodied, right? I climbed out through the window because I had to. But what if it was like an elderly woman who was going into the little grocery store to pick up milk?
And I don't think there would have been any difference between you or that person as far as he was concerned. That spot was his, and you didn't matter.
Right.
And so whether you were 20 or 110, it didn't make any difference to him.
And it really just I don't think there's enough self-reflection in this country. I don't think there is enough.
I call it introspection. There's no inward looking.
Yes.
For most people.
I agree with you. I don't think people understand common courtesy anymore. I don't think people understand the fact that you and I are on different sides of the aisle or whatever topic. Don't even pick politics. Doesn't matter what it is. That you can't have that courteous conversation without getting nasty and self-absorbed. And we also live in the everyone wins mentality now, right? Everyone wins. So you can say whatever you want and mouth off and be a complete a-hole. And it doesn't matter because you have the right to do that until somebody pops you in the jaw. Carrie says in the chat that she thinks that that guy chose to do that because I was in a truck. Nah, he was in a BMW that probably sucks down just as much gas as my truck does. It's just as wide because it was one of the is it the M3 that are the sports version of that?
Yeah, there is an M3.
Yeah.
The M class is the higher performance version of a BMW.
Yes. And I just think that this guy was just such a self-absorbed douche. He thought because he had money, he could do whatever he wants. And you could tell he had that look. He just had that look. Can't judge people off looks, Shaun. That's wrong. No. You can. I don't care what anyone says.
Yep.
You've been on this earth long enough. You know what to look for in people. Like my cousin says it all the time. He's one of those people. He's walking down the street at you. You cross the street. He looks mean and imposing, and he loves it because it gives him the sidewalk on a regular basis. But it's one of those things that it frustrates me to no end. Big Mouth Patriot says this happens to me. It happens to me all the time. I've lost friends because of crap like that, and I can tell you from being personal friends with BMP that I've witnessed that a few times on his behalf, more so than mine, and mostly because I think I've been pretty vocal about my politics for a long time, and I'm very in your face about it when people go down the road. I'm one of those people. I'm like, don't talk politics with me unless you want it all. And I think a lot of people, BMP is very gentle and soft. He's not soft-spoken and quiet, but he's very jovial. And probably never has to go down that road just because I don't think people would dare impose in front of him. So they do it over the computer. Because for anyone who's never seen BMP, he's enormous and could rip me in half. So to his face, and I love him to death, and he knows that. I'd die for the guy. To his face, they wouldn't dare do it. But once you get that computer screen in front of them, right, all of a sudden, they could be a tough guy because time and distance saves their life.
Right, exactly.
And the problem is I want them to have the intellectual argument because I see him argue with people on the other side all the time. I want them to have the intellectual argument because BMP is one of those guys that will absolutely blow them out of the water on the intellect alone. And as you see it start, and we have this topic on our show all the time about staying on with facts and not getting caught up in the emotion. you will see BMP, much like many of our friends, try to stay on that factual argument, right? And you're trying to like, hey, this is my point, this is why, this is the facts, and the other person goes emotion. Especially when it comes to lately the Black Lives Matter issue, because much like Ken, he's a man of color. Can I even say that anymore? Is that acceptable, Ken? I'll wait for the response.
Wait, Ken's not answering. All right, Ken, call in.
And there's assumption that he should automatically be sympathetic. However, they don't realize that he, like Ken, like so many other people on the right, actually pay attention to statistics, facts, all the other things, and reads and does his homework and understands that it is not an attack. I can't say that anymore. BMP answered me. Apparently, I'm not allowed to say that anymore.
But I like what he called them, though. Keyboard commandos.
They are keyboard commandos. But he, I see people go at him with that same, well, because you're black, you should be automatically sympathetic, and they immediately ignore the facts, and then they get mad at him like they do with Ken and a lot of other quote-unquote black conservatives, minority conservatives, whatever you want to call them, because they know their facts and they have the argument that's factual. And I get aggravated because he's one of those guys that if you know him, you know he's done his homework. And so to try to go down a road that deserves homework and has homework done to it, and to have not done your homework is an embarrassment. And to watch him shred people that do that just absolutely kills me. But it's the same thing, right? You get caught in these people who just go to throw this vitriol because you disagree versus having the real argument and maintaining respect with that person who you allegedly have a friendship, a love, whatever.
Yeah. Having the difference between having an argument, or excuse me, a discussion, and an actual dialogue, and working from facts and not simply emotions.
And you see this a lot of times too with female conservatives on social media and Facebook who get attacked because they're not pro-abortion, they're not voting for Hillary, and they say it's the exact same argument. They come back with facts. And the people on the left who are arguing with them just automatically go to insults and absolutely call some of these women who are friends of ours, certainly politically, if not personally, these horrific things because they don't fall in line.
Insults are the end result of those who have no ideas, no creative abilities, no ability to reason.
I call it the...
they can't have a discussion.
I disagree. Thank you for finally unmuting my microphone, by the way. It took me, literally...
Right, it's out. He's here.
It literally took me...
If I could fist bump you from here, I would.
Did you just say if you could fist him from here, you would?
That's essentially...
Doctor, glove me.
We insult people all the time, and we have solid arguments.
Yeah, but we usually base our arguments in the facts versus the emotion.
This is true, but we still insult people.
And I just, like I said, I was telling the story earlier how I get mad at how we have lack of respect in this country and how it's infuriating to me that people can't disagree without getting emotional.
Right, but look what it did for Pence.
That's a good point.
In the
and
debate.
That's kind of where I wanted to go with that. We haven't touched the debate yet.
We're just doing sort of general back and forth.
Yeah, we were doing general jackassery. We're going to pick up the debate after the break. But I honestly, before you showed up 28 minutes late and just sauntered in,
hang on,
upstage,
hang
the
on,
whole build up to the VP debate.
First of all, I didn't saunter. I sashayed. I sashayed.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah, he came sashaying in and then show business.
By the way, in case you're wondering, you never
want to
blow by a police car at 90 miles per hour on the freeway.
Apparently that turns out bad.
No, it doesn't. If you duck off on the next off-ramp and they can't get over in time, you're okay.
Yeah, but you really have to plan that out.
Yeah, you do have to
Timing. That's one of those things, but timing is everything.
Either that or you really have to understand vehicle dynamics and be able to control it.
There you go.
That's a good point.
Weight transfer is everything.
Oh, man. We're up against... I can't believe I had that whole setup for the VP debate. And you just...
Look,
it's almost like the VP debate last night. 2 giant middle fingers, brother. 2.
you know what? And I apologize. I literally walked in and I see the board says VP debate. So I honestly thought that's what you guys were talking about.
Oh, we will still.
I thought because I looked at the board several times and I was kind of like, oh yeah, kind of like, but that's why Pence won because I thought that's why you guys were going there. But see, I guarantee you were talking crap about me at the very beginning of the show. I guarantee it.
I pinged your phone. I know.
You can ping my phone all you want because I wasn't even using that phone.
I pinged it.
His headphones were burning.
We're up against a break. When we come back, Clint will probably have something he wants to say yet again and just blast into whatever topic he wants to.
And it'll be so much better because Shaun will have his coffee by then.
I will.
He's going to go out and get his coffee.
You know why I'm going to do that? Because I didn't do the whiteboard again.
All of that and more right here on the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network. Stick around.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Times are dark. The people misled.
Hey there. Ritual here to give a big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. The magic of those family moments, that was you. And now there's new milestones to prep for in 2025. This new year, check clean, quality, pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list with Ritual. We've done the research to create science-backed pregnancy support like our prenatal multivitamin, natal choline, and fertility support, all designed to be taken alongside each other. But don't just take our word for it. They're also third-party tested for microbes and heavy metals and Clean Label Project certified. So whether you're trying, thinking about trying, or already there, we don't have to tell you that prioritizing yourself can be the hardest part. That's why we're helping you get started today with 30% off a 3-month supply for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
By corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians.
You got a business. You didn't build that.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Shaun
Dude, I'm not saying calf from a stupid pro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplains.dailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live. Oh, I can turn it all up. Live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, I know. They're all on now. So, right before we went to break, I had this whole build-up on how people need to treat each other better and respect one another and have differences of opinions and blah, 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 blah. And then, Clint blew that out of the water. It just stole my thunder.
Hey, guys.
I wish I could say that was planned, because it would be absolutely great planning on our behalf. But the reality of the situation was it wasn't planned, and he just literally just strolled in and blew it up on me. So that brings us to the VP debate.
Yeah, I wonder what we're going to talk about next. Shaun, you're on.
If you guys were following the plan.
Yeah, like we ever do that. So the VP debate last night on CNN, first of all, I don't know who that moderator's name was, but she was absolutely atrocious. I put out on social.
Why do you hate women?
I put out on social media today that she was not up to the task. I don't know where they got her. I don't know why she was chosen, other than it met some sort of checklist.
What kind of checklist?
I don't know.
It made me wonder, what was her... that was a reward.
Right.
For what?
I don't know. Like, there were so many other people that I would rather have... I honestly would rather see Wolf Blitzer's beard out there.
Oh, hell yes. I'd rather see Anderson Cooper.
Why didn't they get Sackhead, Shaun, or Clint, or BZ to do something like that?
And all of that, I wouldn't have cared.
Oh, my God. Could you imagine?
You know what? Right now, we are making a formal invitation. We need to tweet this out. We're making a formal invitation to Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton to come on the Sackheads show.
Yes, let us ask some questions.
For a debate.
I'm all for it. Officially. We'll tweet it. I'll tweet it out the next
It'll be the SHR Media Debate Extravaganza Blowout.
But it's almost... I agree. But
right?
I almost feel like this woman was chosen because she wasn't white and she was a female, and they had to get those checklists out of the way. Like, hey, look, we're CNN and we want everyone... Blah, blah. And
CNN is one of those, is like the single largest donor to Hillary Clinton, like 778,000. Is that what
that's exactly
is that a figure
right.
that
That's
I saw?
nothing but another organ.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
An appendage, if you will.
Yes.
And we all know what Clintons do with extra appendages.
But I cannot tell you from where did she come. I've
never seen her before.
I haven't seen her before. What are her chops? What makes her qualified to do that?
Did she win a lottery?
Good question.
I don't know. And it was an embarrassment. And then you had the candidates.
Well, she was great for Kane.
Right. She was outstanding for Kane, who was allowed to interrupt Pence 72 times.
And he interrupted her, too.
Like 30.
Such disrespect for women. And you know what?
Carrie mentioned that in the chat room. Joe mentioned it this morning.
Yeah.
But I said, I don't even know.
And a minority woman at that.
I don't even know if it was just the war on women or just the complete elitist left talking down to whoever they want.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think it was a war on women. I think he's a racist.
Okay.
He didn't like her because she was a woman of color.
Right.
A successful woman of color.
You can't say that anymore, I was told earlier.
What can't you say?
A person of color.
Why not?
Not allowed to.
Why?
It's unacceptable.
Who said?
I'm just telling you. It's
well, this is our show, so woman of color. Woman of color, woman of color.
Makes you wonder, though, what is the substitute? If you can't say that, what do you say?
Colored woman?
I think that's. I think that's.
Can you say that?
Somewhere else on the list too.
That's not good. Shaded.
Shaded.
Darker.
Either way.
Seriously, what's the proper?
Well, I don't know. When you don't know somebody's ethnicity, then how do you describe them other than being a person of color?
Right.
Minority.
Tinted.
Oh, so she's a minority.
Ms. Melanin.
Sounds worse, doesn't it?
It does sound worse.
Okay. Just want to make sure. But let's get back to the point at hand. And then we got back to you had Pence.
Ridiculous.
And you had Kane. And Kane looked
like a troll.
I'm just reading all the different suggestions of what else we could say. Taupe is one of them. Kane looked so underprepared, so disheveled.
It was, it was loud versus. That's really all he had was volume.
Looked like he was trying to pull
exactly
a Biden.
Right.
Remember when Biden went and Paul Ryan had their debates, and Biden would just kind of be the smart-ass, smarmy, kind of throw out the one-liners and just...
Yeah, but Biden can pull that off.
That's exactly what I said today on social media. Biden can do that.
Yeah.
He was trying to pull a Biden and wasn't even in the ballpark.
No.
And he just came off almost like...
an a-hole.
Yeah.
The funny comments that I've read about that have said that essentially that is not Tim Kaine. He was handed his talking points and the way and the manner in which he was supposed to speak, and those that know him say that he is not like that, which is why he was not efficacious.
Ooh, another big word.
We can't call racial terms like that can't fly.
BMP did say melanin enhanced. Now that he stole my
melanin enhanced.
That's what I like. I like to throw that to the tree and see if that sticks.
And then
you can't. I'm pretty sure you can't reference darker people and trees because of the whole historical connotation.
Yeah, that's not a good way to go
think
at all.
You
I
can
don't
do that.
Well, already we're falling.
We might need to apologize.
Folks, I want to
for
apologize for BZ and the way
we don't understand where that came from. He's usually the more.
What year is it? Is it like 1962?
I don't know. Hey, BZ,
Yes,
this isn't 1936 anymore.
Come on, pal,
buddy. We can't.
You're not in your 20s anymore.
You got to pull it together.
Okay. I'll pull up my bridges, hitch up my suspenders. Bye, Cracky.
Bye, Cracky.
You can't say that either.
No, right.
Come on. I'm offended by that.
As well, we all should be.
Ken said he wants 2/3 of an apology from you right now.
Well, that means BZ's going to apologize and Shaun, because I'm not.
Right.
I thought that everything was
funny.
funny.
No, usually it's you and BZ and then I sit out.
Right, because you're a blatant bigot and you don't apologize for anything.
Of course.
Right.
Well, here's my apology, Ken. Sincerely to you, I want to
Perfect. Perfect.
That was.
But I really want to point out the overshadowing of Kane's lunacy and this moderator.
Overshadowing moderator. I'm seeing everything you're doing here. Blatant bigot, Shaun.
Really
it's a running theme that just won't stop.
Taking the spotlight away from...
It was a dark spot of their campaign,
What
I think,
an amazing
for sure.
job Pence did.
Yeah.
I thought Pence was amazingly well put together last night, rehearsed, very calm. He didn't take the bait from Kane at all on anything, stuck to his talking points, had his facts lined up. He was respectful. He was respectable.
Yep.
It was, honestly, one of the best debates that we've seen in a few years in this country, or let me rephrase that, acts of a person in a debate that we've seen in this country in a long time.
I have a title for last night's debate.
Okay.
And here's because you're right. Kane was baiting him.
Oh, God,
a lot. And Pence was like a master debater. So you had the master debater versus the master baiter is really, I think, what it came down to. And that should be the name of this segment.
Wow. All right.
That should be the name of the 2016.
There you go.
The 20 vice presidential debate.
On the recap for this show, that will be it right
there. What do you think?
I think that's perfect. But it was amazing to watch. Danny Butcher put it out over his social media today from High Plains Pundit of If I was Trump, I'd put Pence in front of as many audiences as you can.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he looked like he was running for president last night.
You know what? If this ticket was flipped, if you had Payne versus Kent's, or excuse me, Kane,
that's perfect.
Yeah.
Now, if that isn't some,
did you get your merds mixed up?
Yes.
If that was glorious.
Oh wow! It's been one of those days.
Yes.
And I have not had enough to drink. If these tickets were flipped,
yes,
I think you would be seeing a completely different result right now in the polls. I think that particularly if the Trump-Pence ticket were flipped, if this were a Pence-Trump ticket, they would be kicking the crap out of Hill Dog and Kane. I think Trump should have Pence with him everywhere. I think Trump and Pence should be arm in arm everywhere.
I think you send Pence out right now to all the conservative places that he's having trouble with, and that's who you put in front of those crowds. Because I think a lot of Republicans and conservatives can connect with Pence. I think that his words actually reach out and touch people. Several times last night, I felt that he was talking to me. Like, I felt that he was actually reaching
a lot more
voters.
Real,
yes,
human. He wasn't stilted. He wasn't some kind of an animatronic kind of an individual propped up there.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting
I would
angry
agree.
watching that debate. Just Kane's demeanor, and I was, and I usually don't get angry during debates because I recognize them for what they are. But I was legitimately getting angry with how he was conducting himself.
I almost didn't watch it. I thought at the last moment, and I have had other things to do, like balance my checkbook and clean my fish tank. And then I thought, all right, okay, I'll give it a shot. I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
I'm honestly glad that I watched it.
I honestly think it was one of the best VP debates that we've seen in probably 3 elections. From, like I said, from Pence. Kane, but Kane sums up the left perfectly last night, didn't he?
Yeah.
Loud. Facts don't
shout it
matter.
down.
Shout it down. Keep repeating the same lie until it becomes a fact. I mean, literally, it was like Alinsky wrote his debate plan, right? Just keep interrupting, just keep shouting, just keep pushing the same thing over and over and over until something sticks. And he had no response for the points that Pence was making. And Agador said it earlier that he was a slogan machine. He just kept burping out every slogan that they could come up with.
Well, even the left thinks that Pence won.
Everybody did.
Kane's taken some heat from both sides of the aisle on that, based on how he conducted himself. And I think I don't think if he had not interrupted the moderator, I don't think the pushback would have been as hard from the left. But because he kept interrupting the moderator as well and trying to talk over her and take over the debate, I think that's where he gets pushback from the left, particularly given the demographic she came from. Now, I don't know. She may be very well qualified to conduct the debate, and she might have been chosen, even though we don't know who she is. She might have been chosen for her merits. I don't know that. But I think given the demographic of her and the fact that she's a female and how he conducted himself towards her, I think that's really what did him in.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And like I said, I want to see Pence more. I want to see Pence in front of crowds more. I want to see him doing interviews more on TV, more social media stuff, YouTube videos. I think if he does that, he could reach a lot of places that Trump may be having a hard time get to. I know the left is all these people are talking about the polls after the Trump-Clinton campaign and that she got a little bounce. Here's the thing, and BZ, correct me if I'm wrong, because you follow the polls closer than I do. Trump has been pulling the same consistent number for the last couple months.
He's been fairly consistent, and I am a little surprised.
2 points there, a little bit different. She's been like an EKG machine.
Yes.
So for her to bounce up a little bit, because here's what happens. Democrats who aren't involved whatsoever sit down and watch the debate and then get caught into the poll the next day. What do you think? Oh, blah, 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 blah. And then they go away. A lot of them aren't going to show up for the election. Whereas Trump, and you could tell by his audiences, and I don't care how you feel about Donald Trump as a conservative or as a liberal, whatever, You look at the audiences that he pulls to his events, and they're legitimate audiences, and they're big.
They're actual people who have taken actual time to go out of their way to specifically and personally attend an event that an equal number would not do for Hillary Clinton.
And Hillary cannot do it.
Joe had an interesting comment in the chat room, and he said that debate did in fact change and sway opinions.
I agree.
And I think that was an option, that was viable, and Pence did it. I think he did in fact change some opinions. That's fairly rare now.
I agree with you. And you know what's funny is, you know how well Pence did by how the left media is covering the debate last night.
If they're beginning to acquiesce just a bit,
well,
that tells me something.
And their news clips, their word clips, whatever they're putting out there, very much involves where Kaine didn't do well versus what Pence did well. Right? So they're taking the opportunity not to spotlight a great job by Pence on a debate, but to show the miscues by Kaine. They will, however, replay the same 9 phrases that he said that they agree with over and over and over again ad nauseum.
Yeah.
And I think it did change a lot of people's minds last night. The problem is not a lot of people watch the VP debates. I haven't seen the numbers from last night. Early indications that it's the most watched in a couple of election cycles, and it should have been. When we talk about a balance in the White House, and we talk about candidates, and I said I didn't know a lot about Pence before this election, but he gained a lot of my respect last night.
I will say that's entirely correct. My philosophy was on that order. I know very little about him. My opinion of him went up.
Way up.
After watching that.
Way up.
Mary Brockman in chat said that Kaine was basically a petulant little child.
Yes.
And I would concur.
I would absolutely concur. But I also think one of the reasons it sways, and like I said, you talk about a balance on a ticket. And Clint brought this up a little bit earlier, talking about how if it was a Pence-Trump ticket. But I really think that this solidifies that balance on the ticket. This shows people that, you know what? You kind of have Trump, who could be a little abrasive at times and very loud. And he's toned it down quite a bit the last few months. But here you have this Pence. And he is so easy, and I mean that in a good way.
Yes, you can trot him out on Front Street anytime, and it'll be a plus.
Yep.
In Trump's cap.
And as a governor, because immediately now I've looked more and more into Pence. He's done a really good job as a governor. It seems like I don't agree with everything with the man, but I can respect the man, and that's huge for me. He's the military. We talk about having military experience in the White House. He's got that military experience inside the White House. We talk about as I was coming over here today, I was listening, and Rudy Giuliani was on Hannity, and I can give or take Rudy politics-wise. What he did for New York after 9/11 was astounding.
That was
it shows
his
what
time
an amazing
on
leader
the
he
planet.
was. Absolutely. And he had 2 great quotes. First of all, and I always give respect to people that said this, he was talking about Trump and how when you're a leader, it's about picking the right people to surround yourself with, and then taking that advice. And he was using Pence as that point. Like, you can see that he knew what he needed to round off the ticket, and he got the right guy for it. And the other thing too is, they briefly talked about 9/11, and Rudy Giuliani just got a ton of respect from me because he said, hey, listen, people like to give me credit for how I handled 9/11, and they like to praise me for it. And I always tell them it wasn't me. I was standing on the shoulder of giants. It was all these other people that did their job miraculously. I just happened to be lucky enough to have them. And he talked about how, I would have been petrified. If I didn't have those people, it would have been a bigger disaster than what it was. I certainly wasn't the one running into buildings. I certainly wasn't the one saving lives, and I wasn't the one digging in the ditch. And, I always, when somebody says a comment like that, The amount of respect that grows in me. You know, politically, like I said, I give it to Rudy Giuliani. What he did for New York on that day, I'll always give him credit. But for him to say that comment, I was standing on the shoulder of giants, I thought that was pretty awesome.
To us, that's logical. To us, that makes common sense. We acknowledge goodness and competence when we see it and where we see it.
Yep,
and so many people won't even do that.
But I think he brings up a very valid point about the people who surround you. And like I said, if Trump could pick others like Pence, not personality-wise, but the person who fits that role that is required at that moment, be it joint chiefs, be it cabinet positions, whatever, the people that advise him and will operate for him. If he could do a good job like he did with Pence, I think that shows that this, if we have a Trump administration, it could actually be very successful.
Here's what I call the difference between, and I'm speaking for myself now, not from books, because I think that you can't learn what I'm about to say. Managers manage things. Leaders manage people. Everyone that's listening to me right now knows a manager. Think about where you work right now, where you have worked, your vast experience in employment, whatever, perhaps even in the military, in other service agencies, and you have worked for managers who are bean counters and can push paper.
Yes.
The difference between a manager and an actual leader, you know them when you see them.
Yes.
They enter a room. They physically fill that room. They are a presence. People say that you can learn it. I disagree. I think an actual leader is born. You can read books, but that doesn't mean, and that doesn't make you a leader.
No, I absolutely agree. I think the fact that leaders, I've always said leaders are born. And you know, it shows you, I can't tell you how many people I've worked for where you've had ones who have an immense education, and you and I have talked about this off the air a lot. They couldn't think their way out of a wet paper bag. And you have other ones who don't have even close to the same formal education, and leaps and bounds beyond people that do have a formal education. You know, and I think Trump is a good hybrid, right? I mean, here's a guy who at 16, his father was making him work at construction sites and understanding the field that he was getting into. He's gotten dirty. He's thrown the shovel around, and he makes his kids do that too. I think he knows the different aspects of it. Yes, was he always in an affluent family? Sure he was. But that doesn't mean that you're completely out of touch just because you're in an affluent family.
No, and that doesn't mean that that he wasn't competent.
Right.
Look, you can give the average individual $1 million, and probably 75% of them will have $500 left the next year.
Present company included.
Perhaps myself as well. Another excellent example of that is Howard Robard Hughes. Howard Hughes' father invented the oil drill, the diamond bit drill, and the Hughes Tool Company came out of that. His father was a millionaire in Houston and raised him. Well, actually, his mother raised him. And his father died relatively early, and then all the money. He took charge of the company at 18. Now, an 18-year-old in charge of a multi-million-dollar business can take that business and drive it into the ground in a week.
Yep.
Or you can make it thrive and prosper. And obviously, we know the story of Howard Hughes. At least in terms of cash, he made that business thrive and prosper. It's the same for Donald Trump. He could have driven it into the ground. He did not. So that I'm going to have to give some manner of credence to his competence, if for nothing but that.
Yep. And it also taught him to be a leader. And I really think it did a good job of that.
It's easy to sit back in retrospect and criticize a decision when you as an individual either cannot or will not make a base decision to even begin with. And everyone here knows people that cannot even make a decision.
I agree wholeheartedly. And like I said, this definitely bodes well for Trump, and it bodes well for his people selection, and it does give credence to the argument of, hey, he's going to surround himself with good people. And, you know, on this show, we have definitely had our differences with Trump, but I got to give him credit for this.
And we've talked about that before, too, about the importance and how we think he's smart enough to surround himself with a good team.
Right.
I hope so.
I think he is, and I think this demonstrates that, like you guys were talking about.
No, I agree. Hey, we're up against the break. Before, because I know the next hour is going to fly, and we're not going to get everything covered we want to get covered.
No, we got a ton.
I want to send some well wishes to the folks in the way of the hurricane right now, Matthew, on the East Coast. Certainly for the SHR family, we absolutely have some people in the way. Jersey Joe's closed, but White Mamba is right.
Mamba's closed. Joe's closed.
Certainly.
Our prayers are going to be with you guys.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yep.
And just, take it easy. Lock yourselves up. Do what you have to do to stay safe. Annie, of course, is down in that area as well.
Feisty Floridian.
We have a lot of people who listen in a part of the family who are close. So we want to wish all of you as well our thoughts and prayers. Be smart, please.
Drink a lot. To stay warm.
But be smart. And I'm talking to Jersey Joe more than everyone else when I say be smart. Stay indoors.
Because he has the hardest time doing that? Is that what you're saying?
That's almost what I'm taking.
Is that really what you're saying
the guy
here?
had biofreeze put on his nipples tonight. I got to give him a little bit of a warning. But
you have biofreeze put on your nipples every day.
But I pay for it.
This is true. This is true. You are not a criminal.
They're professionals. Kids don't do this at home.
But seriously, everyone in the path all the way up to New York right now. Just be careful and download the shows from SHR Media. Download some shows from SHR Media. Charge up the iPod if they still make those.
Get the whiskey ready.
Get the whiskey ready and just sit and laugh and enjoy. And please stay safe because we're thinking about you and our thoughts and prayers. We're up against a break. When we come back, ICANN, FEC, Phoebe, Dodge, and La. All that and more here on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Shaun.
Dude, I'm not saying half of the stupid programs.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reverb Common Sense Show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show, live and direct.
Oh, we're
on
starting
the
this,
SHR.
are we? We're starting
And welcome back
welcome
live to the SHR Media Network,
live and
Sackheads
direct
Radio
the
Show.
SHR Media Network, live radio.
I know we have something to roll
Show.
through, but Danny Butcher sent me a story, and this is actually a decent story, not the usual funny stuff that he sends me, but something that's actually pertains to the election. According to High Plains Pundit, Hillary used a child actor to ask a stage question during a town hall event. During a town hall event in Pennsylvania on Tuesday, Hillary Clinton used 15-year-old child actor to ask a staged question aimed at portraying fellow presidential candidate Donald Trump as a man who likes to body shame women. A YouTuber named Spanglevision investigated the well-scripted performance and discovered the young lady asking Hillary the question is 15-year-old child actor Brennan Leach. Leach also happens to be the daughter of Pennsylvania Democratic State Senator Dalen Leach, who happens to be a humongous Hillary supporter. To which I ask you, is any part of Hillary Clinton at all real and on this planet?
Yes, the skin of her jowls.
Oh, the lovely cankles.
That was going to be my next.
Beat you to it.
But even
Nice.
that, right? Because with all the body double talk, it may not be her cankles or jowls.
Remember when she felt so much better after emerging from Chelsea's apartment and this little girl ran out.
Just happened
to
to be
Hillary
there.
Clinton, just happened to be there. And she was allowed from the crowd to rush up to Mrs. Clinton and tell her in a fervent embrace what a lovely and helpful and positive person Hillary Clinton was, that she was going to change the world.
Because all little girls know who the F Hillary Clinton is.
And that wasn't scripted either. Not a bit.
Oh, man. We have to move on. ICANN and the internet. I cannot have internet anymore.
Can't have it
You
going
cannot
anymore.
any longer have internet.
BZ, you wrote a long article about this.
I wrote long
and you've been on
articles
this for a couple months now.
All of this stuff. We just gave away the internet. Thank you very much.
A lot of people still don't know what ICANN is.
Oh, no, that's correct.
So let us sum it up for those who maybe have some questions. If you'd be so kind, BZ.
Basically, ICANN is the International Council for the Assignment of Names and Numbers. I think that's what it stands for. It's a consortium of individuals that we had sort of control of here in the United States. Basically, through DARPA, we invented the Internet. From that, it sort of expanded from there. It was the Wild West, could be the Wild West, but it needed somebody to sort of be the sheriff in town, if you will. So if you wonder where your .com, your .org, your .edu, your .biz, your .tv, that kind of thing came from, your .uk, whatever, there had to be a bit of an organization going on for the Internet itself. And that's where ICANN came up. There had to be some organizing of the entire Internet itself. Then it was decided a while ago that, we need to give this up and move it up into the global community, until people began to realize that the control of the Internet can be, in fact, something that is like a commodity, if you will. And whoever tends to control that will have a bit of a leash on where this goes in the future. Now, the odd thing about the U.S. government is that in terms of the control of the Internet, and control for once is used rather loosely, the U.S. government didn't really frack it up very much, and that's mostly because they stayed away from it and didn't really do much with it, per se. But control of ICANN has now been surrendered by the United States, so as I'm fond of putting it, the United States now has the validity and the equality in terms of input, like Estonia would be, or Madagascar, or the Vatican. Mm-hmm. It's now equal, a small player among equals. Now, the reason that this is important in my estimation is because whoever controls the Internet is whoever controls communication. Because when one has a revolution these days, one of the first things that occurs is social media becomes very important in terms of organizing, and we've seen this now and in the future. We see that the left wants to clamp down on communications. We see this is true of all sorts of regimes, socialist regimes, Marxist, Leninist regimes. One of the first things that's clamped down is, I think it was Aeschylus who said, one of the first casualties of war is truth. Truth comes by way of communication. Communication these days comes by way of the Internet. When you lose control of the Internet, you lose control of communication. When you lose control of communication, you lose control of the truth. It becomes like a grand 1984 all over again.
Yes.
And then whatever people say is the truth now must be the truth.
Yes.
So that's why ICANN is so very important, because now some of the greatest despoilers of the truth, Russia, China, North Korea, let's say Nicaragua, name most any country in the Middle East, they do not stand head and shoulders upon the truth. They do not predicate what it is that they do based but upon the truth. So when now we are removed from power and we are minimized in that particular equation, that's exactly what Obama does, and that's what he's done now. He's removed American power.
Well, and that is such...
It's a giveaway.
It's such the MO of the Obama administration, isn't it? I mean, here's a guy who literally less than a month ago was praising the United Nations and essentially saying that he's been trying to push us towards losing our sovereignty to the UN. He doesn't believe in American exceptionalism. He doesn't believe that we should be a world leader versus a world player. And he proved so with the Internet again. And I always go back to our revolution. And one of the key points of getting information passed through all of the revolutionaries and the regular army and whatnot was press and the freedom of it, because it couldn't really be... They were having a hard time regulating it, from Ben Franklin's newspaper to locals, and just that ability to pass information from one to the other. It ultimately helped us win our freedom from England. Press and free speech in one way or another has always been a way that we defended our republic and our freedoms, and certainly our sovereignty. When the press was pro-American but non-partisan, it served this country very well. We've talked about how press, and I include the Internet when I say press now, because I mean social media.
I tell you what, now,
obviously,
anymore, the Internet
show
is the press.
Yes, our show absolutely lives and dies by the Internet, et cetera, et cetera. You have now the ability to limit that. And because we don't control it, it is now compromised. I see people in the chat room talking about different services that are popping up and different new Twitter, and all of that is great, but if there's no Internet to have it on that we know today, because now if I understand, I can, if Russia decides that for whatever reason American conservative talk radio can't exist on the Internet, instead of us going, who gives a shit, now there's a little bit of worry. Now, will I think that they'll be able to get it done and pass the committee and all the other stuff?
That topic number 2 right there, that dovetails directly into that when you're done.
Right.
Because right the very next day, that happened.
Right.
The next day, that was covered. That topic that we'll go into in a bit.
And no, I want to go into it now. It's kind of why I'm rolling down that road. Is, can they start now regulating our free speech because they're not Americans and they're not bound by our Constitution, but yet they have impact over something that we readily use to discuss our politics and use as a freedom to do so? Do these other countries now have the ability to regulate our free speech? And therefore, we've given up a portion again of our First Amendment rights. Yes?
Yeah, and here's the thing. It's not us necessarily ceding our First Amendment rights. It's that the internet control's been turned over to this international entity that doesn't have the same belief system in natural rights that we do. They don't have to abide by constitutional principles like those controlling the internet here in America would have to. And so they absolutely have the ability and the legal means now to censor. I look at the trend of what's happening even in our colleges and universities in these safe zones. And, well, you have a right to be free from hateful speech or things that make you feel bad. And a lot of that translates to you have a right to be free from a conservative point of view. Let's be honest.
That's exactly what it's a freedom from.
And that's the prevailing thought of the world. I mean, look at the UN and these international committees and panels and the philosophies that they follow, and it's not a stretch at all to think that.
Oh no, it's not a stretch. I can tell you, guaranteed, that's where it's going.
Absolutely,
it's
it is
going to the UN,
and media networks like SHR Media are going to be very likely silenced.
Ted Cruz was in a Senate subcommittee, a judiciary subcommittee, and asked the ICANN CEO and president some despicable, condescending, dripping, equivocating piece of superior crap and aloofness named Goran Mabi. He said, sir, yourself and the UN and various other representatives and persons that happen to sit on that council, do you have a First Amendment? And then he equivocated and gave a bunch of mouth pablum and mouth mushy words. And essentially, Ted Cruz pinned him down, and he said, no, we don't. And there you go. There's the difference. We're free, but if we lose American freedoms, where do you go next?
Yeah.
Do you go to Mexico? If you lose your freedoms, where do you go?
But here's the screwed up thing. We don't lose our freedoms in America. We lose our freedoms on the internet, which is an international medium. So maybe there's some way where we can express our point of view here in America, but this international company can prevent our signal from going out of America.
Which for us, and a lot of our shows on our network specifically, we know we have listeners who are in the services
overseas.
Stationed overseas.
Yes.
Absolutely. And it scares me. But what also scares me, too, is at what point does the encroachment be able to come into America? At what point are they able to press that issue and say, well, they're saying anti-Russian things on this show and it affects our partnership, and based on ICANN it hurts us. They shouldn't be on.
Right.
And now where are we at? And I don't think it's a giant leap. I really don't, to think that there'll be certain sects, and more importantly...
I'm sorry, certain what?
Sects. S-E-C-T-S.
Thank you.
More importantly, what happens when infiltrators within this country start using it against us?
Well, they already have. How many times have we gone dark on certain things?
Right, but now they can be in our face about it. I mean...
Well, and now technologically and lawfully the potential for that occurs. Who stopped this at the last moment is one of the first questions you have to ask, because it all dovetails together. It all meshes, if you will. It is an appellate judge, a federal judge, on Friday rejected this sort of last-ditch effort on behalf of 4 states. I think it was Arizona, Texas, Oklahoma, I think it was Nevada. And this judge denied this emergency request, and it was this particular guy named George Hanks Jr. of the U.S. District Court of the Southern District of Texas, who in 2015 is an Obama appointee.
What?
I know. That's sad. That's shocking. Okay, so ICANN's gone. People say that essentially the chance of us getting it back...
slim to none.
Yes, exactly, is twofold, slim to none.
Well, and now you start, I mean, first of all, and this is a two-pronged concern of mine, because you look at Obama giving away more of our sovereignty, in your face about it. The media, by and large, has been silent about this, which is just frightening to me. And I know why, because they're threatened by the so-called citizen journalists, right? They're threatened by the presence of SHR Media, Bloviatingzeppelin.net, the exceptionalconservativeshow.com, Reaver.one, all these other quote-unquote citizen journalists who popped up over the last 8 years because we're frustrated in our administration. We're frustrated with mainstream media jading things however they want. So, of course, they're not covering this because the internet goes away. They still have television waves. They still have cable TV.
Oh, yeah.
They will still exist.
Absolutely.
We have no defense.
Where is most of the conservative media now? It's online, and it's some on satellite.
For a reason.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
And even satellite, how many people listen via internet at work on satellite?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen the numbers on that.
But a lot.
Yeah, I know that was me being saying I don't know. I wasn't being a smart ass.
If you subscribe to Sirius XM, which I do, I listen to a lot of the shows on Patriot and all the other ones from my desk.
Right.
I stream.
No, that's my point. So, but even silencing the internet, which is one of the fastest growing media outlets.
Mediums.
Yeah, it's not outlets, but mediums. You're right. Is that's huge. That's a huge way to silence the opposition.
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
You also have to do the future. You have to think about the future, a number of steps ahead. And people have said, professional broadcasters, people in the Talkers magazine venues and whatnot, in the Talkers Top 50, Top 100, they were asked, what do you think is the future of radio? And what they're all essentially saying is the future of terrestrial radio is dying.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? That means that us right here are about to be equal
rich
with everyone else.
Rich.
Well, and you know,
that's what the internet does. The internet brings everything down to the same level.
Which you would think the progressives would like because it's redistribution.
Yeah, but it doesn't give them their narrative.
Right.
It's
no, I get that.
No,
that's my point.
I'm kidding. And again, I this is where I got to give Danny Butcher huge credit. 3.5 years ago when we first started working with him, and he and I were talking, he brought that up very, very early on. Hey, terrestrial radio, I worked in it for a long time, is going away. It is dying.
I worked in it myself.
You can walk right now and you can buy airtime at so many different stations that are so cheap and big stations because outside of the big talk shows, nobody's listening.
No.
Especially local talk shows are really, really struggling. I mean, we happen to, in our area, we have a guy who's in the morning who's really good. But,
we have a few. But see, all local talk show hosts, they all want to be syndicated.
Right.
That's where the money is. It's not in the local radio anymore.
Well, and I know a lot of them also get internet streams of their shows that get played. More and more, and the airwaves less and less. It is a progression that has been going right along. Even our traditional radio music stations are starting to go away because of iPods and all the iPads and phones and all the other stuff where you can get your push button Apple Music, right? Push button music, whatever you want right there, boom.
Yeah,
might cost you a couple bucks a month.
Gen Zers, to what are they listening?
Right.
Probably not FM radio.
Right. And it's getting harder and harder to fill it. So the progression after the advent of the internet and the growth of the internet has been immense. And it's a way for them to silence it. And it's very, very frightening. The fact that we would give this up is absolutely insane.
But see, here's the question. Now, we know that America shames Obama. We know that he was raised on a steady diet of communism, that he was raised on a steady diet of Cloward and
Which is
Piven.
why he's so skinny.
And we know that he was raised on a steady diet of Jeremiah Wright. And so we know why he's doing it. He's doing it because he's ashamed of America, because it was colonial, and it needs to be brought down a peg or two. Well, he's certainly done that. But with all of the incidents that you just labeled, that you just presented for us here, that's what makes it all even more important. So in terms of negotiations, or even Donald Trump for that matter, in terms of negotiations, what has Obama negotiated? What did he negotiate with Bo Bergdahl? What did he negotiate with Iran? What did he negotiate with ICANN? What does he get for us? What has he ever gotten for us?
Nothing.
Except to give things away?
Nothing. I've said, Clint said on this show, despite the whole host nation isn't eligible, I think that he is running for Secretary General of the UN.
No. Supreme Court Justice under a Hillary Clinton presidency.
I think
he said he's not going away.
Right.
Yep.
I think
Supreme Court Justice under Hillary Clinton.
But hear me out on this. If for some reason Hillary should win and he ends up at the UN and Hillary just keeps continuing to give the UN more power, eventually he comes back into power. More so than he could affect with the Supreme Court, because Hillary's already going to get those three choices and she can put whatever libtard she wants on the court.
I think he wants a Supreme Court nomination. That's a lifetime appointment where he gets to affect the direction of constitutional law.
The power is ours to cede. But if the media thinks...
Oh, we've ceded it.
If the media jackals think that they're going to remain unaffected, they're wrong. Because right after that particular little incident this past Friday, the FEC came out with a particular ruling. If you would care to...
Federal Elections Committee to ban Fox News, the Wall Street Journal, and the New York Slimes.
Basically, they want to ban them and their political coverage because of this. In what they consider to be the biggest threat to conservative media, Democrats on the Federal Election Commission, particularly Democratic Commissioner Ellen Weintraub, they're laying groundwork for barring companies with even the little teeniest, winsiest bit of foreign ownership from American politics in a move that could ban Fox, the Wall Street Journal, and even the New York Times from covering political races or giving endorsements, or even talking about Trump, or even talking about Hillary Clinton. And is the Gray Lady a right-wing organ these days? I don't believe it is. They're on the cusp of being affected. Now, these are not elected individuals.
No, they're not.
These are
appointed
czars.
Yes.
What does the word czar come from?
They have zero. They answer to nobody.
Answer to
they
no one.
answer to no one. Yep. They don't answer to Congress. They don't answer to the American voter. They don't answer to anybody.
The EPA doesn't answer to anyone. The FEC doesn't answer to anyone. It's theirs to control if there's no pushback.
Well, and I was actually having this conversation today about the EPA and how you once again have, and the FEC is a prime example, a organization that isn't even constitutional, where everybody's appointed, that allows to make these rules in which the violation is a violation of law long term.
Yeah.
Even though it is not being passed by a elected body.
Yep.
And these rules that they pass, and remember the Water Collection Act of a couple of years ago, that if you have more than 500 gallons that collects on your property, it becomes a waterway and the EPA has access to it.
Yeah, or if your kid went out with like a cup to collect rainwater and drank it, you were taxed on it because they were taking a national resource.
Right,
You
the rain
cannot
tax.
you cannot collect rainwater in the county of Marin, California, in occupied California.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Why would you be able to? I mean, we're only in a
it's
drought.
their water.
And
It belongs to Marin.
And the FEC is arming, strong arming yet again. And I've said this time and again, with the exception of a few agencies, the NSA, anything that has to do with national security, some level of classification, media should be able to walk into just about any federal office, at least the public portion of it, if they're having a press conference, what have you, at any given moment, and be able to report, because they are the watchdog of the republic, or they're supposed to be. And when you start banning media from being able to access public meetings, we heard them, the FCC tried to do this a couple of years ago when they were trying to put watchers in all the news organization newsrooms.
Yeah.
You really have to start asking where we are, right? Because it's starting to get to like the special police. Remember Occupy Germany, where you have the secret police running around.
That's like the political officer on a Russian submarine.
Yes.
Every Russian Navy ship had a political officer.
I think they still do.
Sean
And
Connery
they do
killed
that.
him.
What the hell?
But you know what? He saw the road to freedom, and damn it, he took it.
He did.
I never got to see Montana. Great movie. I just watched that a couple weeks ago. Actually, when I was down in L.A., I watched that one night in my hotel room on Netflix. Awesome movie.
Crazy Ivan.
Crazy Ivan.
Yeah.
He's pulling a Crazy Ivan.
Yep.
What a great movie.
Great book.
Everything. Yeah, it was a great book. Clancy is amazing.
Has he written anything in a while?
Yeah,
He passed away.
Yeah, well, but he wrote like 2 books before he passed away.
Did he?
Yeah, he passed away 2 years ago.
Yeah, Mark Greaney is his shadow author now.
Well, we'll
he
see.
hasn't written a book in a while. He passed away of cancer. One small thing about Tom Clancy that you didn't know: he was legally blind.
Really?
He was illegally blind?
Yes, according to the FEC.
Yes, exactly.
They outlawed his blindness.
They did indeed.
And
You know what?
Agador's next on their list.
Another book I really liked from that same era, but it was a horrible movie, was Flight of the Intruder.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yes.
It wasn't an absolute.
That also was a
horrible
pretty
It wasn't
good
absolute. The book was so much better.
Well,
the book was by Jake Kuntz.
Yes.
Dean.
Stephen
Dean
Kuntz.
Kuntz.
Was
Stephen
it Dean or
Kuntz.
Stephen? Yeah.
Yeah.
Dean was the children's author, I think.
Okay, so it was so he was the
It's
horror
his
guy.
big
So
brother.
so Stephen Kuntz,
Right.
And Jake Grafton was the main character, and then there
That
was a
it.
series.
That's where I got the Jake.
But one of the things
And
about
Dale Brown, Flight of the Old Dog. Sorry,
one of the things about Flight of the Intruder is it was a movie that
had the Phantom Shitter in it. And how could you forget a movie with the Phantom
we
Shitter?
didn't have the technology
Oh.
to do that movie justice as far as special effects.
Yeah, but there were other movies around that era, like Top Gun was before.
But it didn't have the budget of Top Gun.
True.
Had
Danny Glover.
It was an early green screen style movie, a lot of digitized special effects, and it just didn't live up to what it could have been. Because, like I said, the
Yeah.
book itself was amazing.
Some of it was kind of like the cheesy Iron Eagle, like
There's nothing cheesy about the Iron
Scud
Eagle.
launcher.
Nothing
You're right.
cheesy
I don't know
about
what I was
Iron-
thinking.
What the
I'm
hell is
sorry.
wrong with you? Hey,
You're
we're-
right.
We're up against the break. Will I get Clint to straighten his ass out?
Yeah, I apologize.
Jeez, get your head out of the cloud.
I apologize.
Now. Iron Eagle was a cheesy movie. He saved his father from the Iranians. In an F-16, what kid doesn't do that?
With a janitor.
With a janitor. No, he wasn't a janitor.
You believed it because he
For a
was
split
black.
second.
Real good. Racist. Blatant bigot strikes
was the
again.
All right, who was the name of the
Louis Gossett Jr.
Lou Gossett
Louis
Jr.
Gossett? Yep.
Yeah.
Great actor. Great actor.
He is.
But you
I
know
still
what?
loved him
He
in
was
An
also-
Officer and a
He
Gentleman.
was awesome. Awesome in that movie.
Yeah.
And the science fiction movie
Mayonnaise.
Enemy Mine.
Wow, I forgot all about that. That was a
Wow.
good one, too.
Yep,
Good
that was
he
a
job.
was
good one,
very
too.
good in that.
He was very good.
No, he was. But you know what? That movie was a good pro-American, geared towards young teens
To go into the Air Force and fly jets.
to not be afraid to stand up against a bad guy and stand up for your family. It was cheesy for adults,
Yeah.
but it was a good movie.
It was a great 80s movie.
We're up against a break.
Right up there with Breakfast Club.
Well, yes.
Oh, well, then
And Uncle
you're
Buck.
going to agree with Pretty in Pink then.
But Pretty in
That's
Pink
a
was
great.
actually a
It's
good
16
movie.
Candles.
Ducky.
Yes.
Hello, hot stuff. No, it's what's a happening, hot
What's
stuff.
happening? Hot stuff.
No more boom boom. The donger is tired. When we come back,
more 80s movies trivia.
More 80s movie trivia.
Because why not?
Yeah. FBI destroys laptop. Dodge is dropping charges. And La. All that and more on the Sidekids Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Shaun.
Dude, I'm not saying calf was stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver Common Sense Show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on SHRmedia.com and HighPlainsDailyNews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR.
You were right. You were absolutely right at the very beginning. The 2 hours you said were going to go by, boom, like that.
24 minutes left, my friend.
Holy moly, did they ever go by.
23 now. We got to roll. FBI destroys laptops. Came out late last week, early this week. That in caring for the investigation and really making sure that all their bases were covered, the FBI destroyed the laptops of individuals involved in the Hillary Clinton investigation for the preservation of national security, I am sure.
Well, that makes perfect sense, don't you think?
Right, because if the FBI can't hold it in their evidence room and have that be safe and secure, what isn't? I mean, really. They just destroyed evidence in an investigation. And even though they've closed the investigation specifically on Hillary, The investigation on the Clinton Foundation is not completed. This could lead into the Clinton Foundation. And more importantly, if something was compromised from those laptops, you would have more evidence to figure out why. And if it comes to the protection of people maybe operating in a clandestine situation or in a region where we are not known to operate, and that has since been compromised, you have lives at risk. It is our job to save lives, Lieutenant Colonel Markinson.
God, that reminds me. I just mentally flipped back to Sterling Hayden as General. The general of Burpelson Air Force Base in Dr. Strangelove.
Yes. Oh.
Where he didn't want his precious bodily fluids to be contaminated.
Yes. What was his name? Go on, because I'll think of it.
Anyway, the funny thing about the laptops being destroyed, the laptops belonged to former Clinton Chief of Staff Cheryl Mills.
Yes.
And ex-campaign staffer Heather Samuelson. And so that destruction of those two laptops was in exchange for immunity. But what is not grandly known is that exchange, that contract between them, also limits the FBI's search in the laptops to no later than January 31st of 2015. That meant that investigators couldn't review documents for the period after the email server became public, in turn preventing the FBI from discovering if there really was any evidence of obstruction of justice. What the hell?
It's obvious. I mean, they knew they were going to find the evidence.
Okay,
they knew there was obstruction. They didn't want anything like that coming down. They were protecting these people, and so Loretta Lynch made the agreement.
Okay, so why do you give immunity, though?
Oh, that's
for
simple.
what?
To protect them, blanket.
Right, but if you grant immunity, what is expected in return?
Well,
generally.
I don't think they expected it.
But here's
just
what's
generally.
expected in return. They can now not be called to court anywhere regarding this and be forced and compelled to testify about any action that makes Hillary Clinton look bad.
Well, see,
that's the only thing I can come up with.
When you grant immunity, generally in most American logical, clear-thinking courts, it's because you want testimony.
That's
of some
why you
kind.
would offer immunity, yes.
So what kind of testimony have we seen or do we know about here? See, you can't take the fifth under that because due to the immunity itself, that's not self-incrimination. So you can't take the fifth. So where is the testimony of Mills and Samuelson? And then further, why destroy the evidence? The very concept of immunity is to collect and keep evidence.
You're trying to apply logic to a situation where you cannot apply logic. I mean, this was
where it's illogical.
The point is not to destroy it.
Yeah, yes. If you were conducting an investigation where you were honestly involved or honestly interested in seeking the truth and honestly either building a case or attempting to prove innocence, right, going wherever the facts lead you, you would not destroy that evidence. You would not agree to a date where, we won't look beyond this date, particularly when you know that Congress has a subpoena outstanding for this information or for these things. So there is no logical answer other than they were knowingly protecting these people by knowingly cutting off the investigation at a point where they couldn't look and indict them, and granting immunity so if they said anything that could lead down that road, they were already immune from it, and then they don't have the means to go back and look at evidence to make a case of that nature. The whole thing was actually brilliant if you look at it from a perspective of how do we hide all this stuff and not have to do anything in an election year. It was brilliantly done. Unfortunately, it's kind of starting to come apart, but is it really? Like, light's being shed on it a little bit, but is there anything that's going to be done? Is Congress going to do anything? Is Congress going to impeach Loretta Lynch?
No,
they won't. Is Congress going to impeach Comey?
No,
they won't. Not when Trey Gowdy is on the stand and he says, I have great respect for the FBI, but in this case, basically, I think you guys dropped the ball. I disagree. He wasn't coming out saying that this whole thing is crooked. But the bottom line is, you look at these deals that are being made or that were made. Loretta Lynch's Justice Department is directly involved, and there is only one logical explanation.
The only possible purpose that I can think of for that is to permanently dispose of prejudicial evidence against Obama, Clinton, Lynch, Comey, Mark Turi, etc.
Criminal. I wouldn't even say. I'd say criminal evidence.
Yes, it is. I wrote a post today.
I think a crime was committed by destroying this information, particularly when Congress had it under subpoena.
Yes. But even then, stop and back up. Why do you think so many people are dissatisfied with the GOP? With regard to ICANN, where was the filibuster anywhere or any kind of a massive row made by the GOP about giving away ICANN? Did you hear it? I didn't.
No.
What about anything that was going on with regard to the FEC? Did you see any pushback by the GOP?
None.
I did not. What about the FBI laptops being destroyed? Did we hear anything about the GOP or conservatives about that? And then we wonder, wonders how the hell they got Donald Trump.
Approval rating.
That we are hearing about, though. We do hear about the conservatives being upset about the destruction of the laptops.
A few. Not the massive outrage that there should be. Every single person in Congress should be at a microphone right now demanding answers.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
No, right. No, I didn't think you were. I'm just saying you do have a few people who will speak up, but overall, the vast majority are staying silent.
There was a letter. Top-ranking Republicans did send a letter over to DOJ that were asking them, what the hell? And essentially, their response was, yes, we received the letter. When the media asked about
but that's when you drag Comey back in. And you say, "Hey, who ordered the destruction of this? Well, is under subpoena, so we can start the trial."
Right, but no, I want that there are you don't see a lot about it in the media, but there are some Republicans that are making a stink over this,
and more should. And it brings us to Mark Turi.
So let me tell you the ones that have done so. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to make sure I had this information accurate. The House Judiciary Committee Chairman Bob Good Latte, Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, whatever his name is. Good Coffee out of Virginia. And then Jason Chaffetz, of course, Devin Nunes, and Charles Grassley. And these are oversight committee chairmen. So you had the House Oversight Committee Chairman Chaffetz, House Intelligence Committee Chairman Nunes, and the Judiciary Committee Grassley. So, I mean, people, they're sending the letter, and I think it's funny that the response was, yes, we received the letter.
Well, and I just, when we talk about the low approval rating of Congress, this is why. The things that we know when they have the power, i.e. the ability to sue Saudi Arabia, they all stepped up. And rightfully so. I'm giving them credit. But something like this, ICANN, they're not banding together. And this is what happens. I think this is why people are disconnected from them so much, is because they say you don't represent our values, and the things that you will fight
for us
are ridiculous.
And this is why I think we've lost the republic.
I agree in a lot of ways.
And yeah, look, we're in trouble.
We're hurting.
We're in trouble.
And even more insult to injury, as you mentioned, the DOJ dropped the charges on Mark Turi.
Yeah.
It took me 4 hours last night and early this morning to write this post where basically I wrap everything up. And so that stemmed from a particular post on Politico, of all places. Okay, this time, props for Politico.
Right.
Good. I agree. Ken Vogel and Josh Gerstein wrote an article that says Obama DOJ drops charges against alleged provider of Libyan weapons. Now,
Yes.
we may or may not have heard this before.
Right.
Back in 2012, for example. But, the New York Times wrote about this back in 2012, but pretty much everybody predominantly forgot about it because they didn't make the links. They didn't connect the dots.
Intentionally.
So basically what Vogel and Gerstein are saying is that arms dealers had threatened to expose Hillary Clinton's talks about arming anti-Gaddafi rebels. The Obama administration is moving to dismiss charges against an arms dealer it had accused of selling weapons that were destined for Libyan rebels. Okay, Libya, Benghazi, hello, getting it already? Lawyers for the Justice Department on Monday filed a motion in federal court in Phoenix to drop the case against the arms dealer, an American named Mark Turi, whose lawyers also signed the motion. And so the story goes on to say that the deal averts a trial that threatened to cast additional scrutiny on Hillary Clinton's private emails as Secretary of State and to expose reported Central Intelligence Agency attempts to arm rebels fighting Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi. If I had another half hour just to read the story about how these things all dovetail together at the end of just writing this particular blog post, I was definitely 210 over 190. Everything is there. If me, an overweight, aged, balding, bearded moron, can put it all together like this, where is our media?
Intentionally ignoring it. That's the problem.
It all goes together. Benghazi, guns, the Clinton Foundation,
Yep.
Hillary Clinton, the emails, the server, the self-serving, your American taxpayer dollars paying for the servers, and to the tune of $163 million starting, that was the seed money from the American taxpayer to start the Clinton Foundation. The Clintons didn't even start the foundation with their own money. It came from money that was given, $400,000 a year, plus initial seed money from that to start the Clinton Foundation. They didn't even buy a taco. It didn't even come out of their own pockets.
So
That's U.S.
Californian.
taxpayer money.
Didn't even buy a taco. It's such a Californian statement. Didn't even buy a coffee. Jesus. No, I'm just kidding.
Didn't even buy a donut.
They didn't even buy a donut.
Didn't even buy a Dunkin' Donut.
There wasn't one steak and cheese that they purchased.
And see, the other thing, HRC22 at ClintonEmail.com, that's her email address. Before the issue of the email even blew up in the face of Hillary Rodham Clinton by way of Sidney Blumenthal, and then Gawker found out, that particular internet site found out that she had a private email, that she had a private server, and then that was made public. Up until that point, that wasn't an issue. And up until that point, Obama was sending, under an alias, emails to her private server.
But everything's on the up and up in the
But
most
everything's
transparent
on the up and up
organization.
in the
most transparent, most transparent
administration ever.
Ever on
And
of
again,
all time.
the planet.
That's the Alinsky approach, right? Just keep saying something until it's believed to be true. It doesn't matter how false it is. It just goes back to show you, though, that the Clintons are just a gigantic mob family. They are the mob operating in
my
plain
estimate,
sight.
they're subject to RICO.
Yes.
Why would they not be subject to RICO?
Oh, because the FBI would investigate it, and we all
Yeah.
know what they do with investigating Clintons. It's absolutely astronomical when you sit back and you look at the facts that are presented in front of you.
This is corruption on a global scale.
Right, but nobody cares because it's the Clintons.
No one cares.
I mean,
And they're going to vote for her anyways.
Yes.
You look at people on the left and they talk about Bill back in the day, and all they think about is his impeachment is it was over getting a blowjob in the office.
No, it's that he lied.
He lied under oath.
Yeah. He lied under oath. He was impeached. He wasn't convicted. McCain voted not to convict him.
But he
I think.
lied under oath.
But he lied under oath, and that's what his impeachment was about.
And when you lie under oath, as
Hillary
the
has done
President
so
of the
much.
United States of America.
Why? Why is Bill Clinton an issue in Hillary's campaign? None of the leftists can understand why is Bill Clinton an issue in the campaign.
Right.
Because he's a lying rapist,
Yeah.
a misogynist,
Yeah.
who cannot tell the truth.
He's an alleged rapist, right?
Alleged.
Alleged rapist.
Yeah, alleged.
Okay, you can say that.
Bloviatingzeppelin.net.
Yeah.
The opinions expressed by him are not necessarily those of SHR Media or of Sackheads Radio Show.
The parent company hereby
Thank you for the
disavows all
disclaimer.
knowledge of prior statements.
Thank you very much.
Bullshit.
But the issue is not Bill Clinton. The issue is that over the years, she supported him, and she, meaning Hillary Clinton, said that every victim of rape needs to be recognized and needs to be believed, and then doesn't have that applied to herself.
But this is the same woman who got a rapist off on a technicality in the
Yes.
80s and then laughed while being recorded about it, knowing that he did it, but which that alone, if you're an attorney and you know your client is guilty through facts and you still try to represent them as not, that's an ethics violation. You're not supposed to knowingly believe that they're guilty if you're providing their best defense possible. She got him off on a technicality. She shouldn't have been there. But she got him off on a technicality. She knows he did it.
You know, that's her as a defense counsel. Her job is to exploit the technicalities, and I
understand that,
I
but
get
she
that.
brags about
but
it
when you
afterwards,
brag
that's the
about it
problem,
afterwards, that's the problem.
And even more
Oh
importantly,
yeah, he totally do it. He's
she
gonna...
knew he was guilty and believed he was guilty and still got him off instead of excusing herself, saying, wait a minute. You know, you're technically, people forget this, defense counsel's supposed to prove innocence based on their belief of the case. When you know or you have reason to believe that person has said things to you that admits guilt, you're supposed to present that or recuse yourself from it.
Yeah, I don't know
It's
because
an old attorney ethics thing that has gone away.
Huh.
But that was used to be that way.
It's an open secret at the Chappaqua compound that a blonde bimbo known as the Energizer, by the United States Secret Service comes in, and I'm sure performs various fellatio on him as various other acts as his cold fingers are touching the top of her forehead.
I was going to eat after the show. Thanks.
And yet she still supports that
it's convenient.
person.
It is convenient.
It's a marriage of power.
Yes.
For naked power on the coattails
Absolutely.
of Bill Clinton. He has political skills and charm. She's as charmless as an Eastern Diamondback rattlesnake.
Do you think Trump was right? Do you think she's getting some on the side too?
Probably.
From like Huma?
A lot of people say that.
Yoko Ono claims to have an affair with her and said that her proclivity generally is that of a lesbian.
Yeah, but it's also Yoko Ono, and I can't believe anything that comes out of that woman's mouth.
Now listen, when she said she slept with Godzilla, I believed it.
I still blame her for the death of John.
Look, I believe that, and maybe that's Hillary and Bill's arrangement. I don't know. Maybe she's like,
I don't
like if
care.
I were a dinosaur, I'd be a lot of puss, and you can bang anything
believe
you
that
want.
they have an arrangement.
I don't care either. That's my point.
I don't care, but
care.
the simple fact of the matter is,
But don't present yourself as something else.
That's
Right. That's the
bingo,
big
right there,
problem.
Clint. Don't then say that you're
that
a
shows-
wonderful
if she says, listen, hey, I'm a progressive. I prefer women in the sexual nature. I'm married to Bill. I love my husband. We have an open marriage.
It's a marriage.
Everybody on the left would be like,
yeah, let's hear it.
Yay, love. And libertarians, little L, like me would say, okay.
Yeah,
who
whatever.
cares?
That's cool. Whatever you want to do.
You know,
It's right. It's in your home. It's not really my.
If you're a carpet muncher, say you're a carpet muncher and just be done with it.
I'm a carpet muncher.
Okay,
Right?
me too.
And be done with it. damn it.
Right.
Well, it's definitely one of those things, though. It shows you the amount of power that's more important than anything else. Like you said, he's got a political savvy way. People are gravitating. Without him, she wouldn't win this election. Even though he just dealt the Obama administration a humongous blow on Obamacare this week.
I see what you did there, Bill Clinton. Blow at the same time. That was good.
Blow.
That I loved it.
But calling Obamacare
a joke. Absolute joke. Here's the best part. You remember when
his wife's defended it?
Remember when Hillary Clinton took credit for Obamacare because she designed essentially the same thing when she was a senator?
Yes.
And it was almost the exact same thing that he adopted and they passed through, and she took credit for it during the 2008 election.
Yes.
Talking about how it's the same plan that she hashed in the Senate. It's absolutely amazing. It's all fucking bullshit. They are just a giant pile of steaming cow feces that would be outlawed in the state of California right now.
You know what? Listen, if Trump and or Hillary comes on this show, we have to ask this. Did you bullshit today? Did you try to bullshit today?
It's a Ponzi scheme. It's subject to RICO.
I agree with you.
On damn near an unprecedented scale.
The other reason all this evidence is being destroyed is, as we've talked about many a times, should Trump get into office come November, what's going to happen in early January?
Boom, this whole
special
thing
prosecutor, everything gets opened up. New head of the FBI. Hopefully Trey Gowdy will be the head of the DOJ. And on we go.
Tell us what you told us last week that your friend said. That's the truth.
Oh, God. You're going to make me think all the way back to next week?
No. Last week.
Last week.
Because if you could think back to next week, we're going to.
I'd like to be able to think back to next week.
She's not winning a presidency. She's winning her life. She needs to win this, or her life has gone away. And she knows that she could very well end up in jail. And you know what? Much to the dismay of the left, and Trump won't care what they say about him in the media.
Nope.
She will do time if he gets into office. She is fighting for the last bit of her freedom.
She is fighting for freedom.
Should that happen, the entire Clinton legacy will come completely unraveled. A lot more truths will come out because once she's behind bars, all the people that are afraid of her, and they are out there, will start coming out of the woodwork.
Hey, so if it can be proved or shown that they were arming these rebels and arming people who were acted against the interests of the United States and killed an American ambassador, would that be grounds for treason?
Ooh.
To get her,
as long as there was a directive to do so.
All you'd have to do is enforce any of the 18 USC codes that are applicable to her. There's about 5 or 6. Pick one.
Number 6. Folks,
I was going to say 3.
That's it for the Sackheads Radio Show. Live from the SHR Media Network home studios in sunny Sacramento.
Well, it's dark right now.
Well, it's dark, but there's no clouds in the sky. Check us out next week.
That we can see because it's dark.
Right here at 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. on the East Coast. Pick it up tomorrow morning with the Reaver of Common Sense, Jersey Joe, right here on the SHR Media Network at 8 a.m. Pacific Time, 11 on the East Coast.
And we are on 5 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time.
We are on 5 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time.
When's the time change here?
We're at 11:22 on Estonian time.
I'm glad to know all of this. Thank you so much.
When is the time change here?
Next 2 weeks, 3 weeks? I don't know.
I don't know.
Is it 2 weeks or 3 weeks?
Make sure you also check out Agador, the unpleasant blind guy.
I think he's very
He's not
pleasant.
that unpleasant.
I think he's very
extremely
pleasant.
But he's still blind. So that part of it's right. And all the great shows, he's dropping some knowledge every single week. Bloviatingzeppelin.net. Sir, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It is, as always, a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
At
thank you.
Sackhead Clint on Twitter. Sir, thank you for showing up and being a guest on the show this evening. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
We hope to have you back soon.
We'll see. I'll see what I can do.
We'll see you next week right here, folks.
You know what I like is I even give you a heads up and I still get crap. What is with this?
What is with that?
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Shaun and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.